Hi, hello, and welcome. We are broadcasting live from GlobalAIPreneurs, the premier global gateway and unified operating system for trusted AI entrepreneurs. Right now, we are witnessing an unprecedented paradigm shift. The AI landscape is expanding exponentially, stretching across 8 plus categories and over 120 distinct technologies. Yet, this explosion has brought an unvetted bottleneck. Enterprises, buyers are facing severe decision paralysis. Investors are swimming in unvetted noise, and brilliant founders remain isolated from the cross border institutional bridges they need to scale. The results are clear: capital inefficiency and deployment friction. Promoted by the Global Council for the Promotion of International Trade and the Global Council for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, Global AIpreneurs was built to change that narrative. We are moving decisively past passive directories. We are a multi-layer engagement engine spanning technical operational reviews and community ranking, connecting enterprises demand directly with trusted AI supply. Operating across over primary global hubs in India, Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, the USA, the UK, Switzerland, the EU, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria. We are bridging the gap between raw potential and the institutional deployment. Today, as part of our visionary interview series, we are charting the future of the ecosystem. Joining us is a leader who embodies exactly what it means to build with high intent, high density, and absolute impact. Harinath Pudipeddi, thank you for joining us today to help shape the future of global AIpreneurs. Hari is a creator of Liquid Oceans, execution advisor for business reinvention, frictional strategy, and product leader. Over to you, Hari.
Thank you, Sushma, for having me. It's an honor to be part of the Global AIpreneurs. I wish to continue. I know you asked me to speak about how I can contribute back to Global AIpreneurs. I will touch upon it in my last 2 minutes. But otherwise, I had a few thoughts on what we want to discuss, and I would wish to go with that. So, to begin, if there's one thing I believe every founder, CTO, product leader, and investor needs to understand today is this: AI is not changing business. The speed of business is changing. So there is a huge difference between these both. For decades, companies competed building products. Today, products are evolving every 2 weeks. Business models are changing every quarter or even months. The question is no longer how to build a better company. The real question is, how do we build organizations that never stop reinventing themselves? That's the most important aspect. And this is where the whole philosophy of Liquid Ocean comes into picture. Before I go any further, I want to take two examples which we are all aware of and look at how AI has impacted or is impacting. Look at Lego and Rolex. All of us know Lego is like almost 100 years and Rolex is more than 100 years. But even in today's world of mobile phones, iPads, kids playing on mobile devices, and we have smartwatches, which are much more powerful than anything else. For example, Apple Watch today talks about satellite communication. So if you're stuck when there is no signal, it's still you can communicate and send an SOS message to the nearest hospital or police station or your family and friend or loved one, right? And they both are still very relevant. You have Nintendo Switches, you have all these online gaming consoles we buy. I'm not a gamer, so I don't know a lot of names. So you have all these consoles which you buy and keep it at home. But if you ask or take your kid to a shop and say, pick up the toy you want, they still pick up a soft toy. And predominantly, we also go and buy the Lego bricks. People are very, very excited about Lego bricks. Why kids? I am excited about Lego bricks, right? Lego, the whole business is just that plastic or the cardboard brick. And Rolex is about the watch. Both of them don't use any AI. They don't use anything in the front end, but both of them create that value. The value for the person who's playing with the Lego bricks is the creativity which brings out. And the best part is you build something, you build a dam, you can build it out and build another, reservoir kind of a stuff. And Rolex is when you wear it, people notice you, right? Your presence is felt. You are looked up to automatically, right? Because the presumption, the value, what it creates for the person who's seeing you is, oh, this person wears a Rolex. Oh, big guy, right? I might be a regular employee, but I just took EMI or a personal loan and bought a Rolex just for the kick of it. But the way people see me is going to be very, very different. So when you look at these two businesses, we need to understand that they exist in today's world of smartwatches and online gaming consoles. And if I'm not wrong, Lego last year, their revenue was about 180 billion, dollars or the Deutschmark, whatever it is. That's not a small number. That's definitely not a small number. So how are these people existing and creating businesses or enhancing their businesses? They are using technology in the back end to simplify complex processes. But the front end product remains the same, which you and I see. And that makes a difference. So you can be a technology company, you can be anybody. What AI has changed for organizations and people? For organizations, it has given the strength to reinvent quickly. For individuals, it has given them the ability to think bigger, right? That is the fundamental understanding of AI. When people say AI is coming, jobs are going, no, I'll argue that case a little forward into my conversation. But today, if even including me, right? How did I conceptualize the whole idea of the liquid ocean? Is because AI helped me or gave me time to take away certain mundane tasks. And it gave me the time to think a little bit more, read a little bit more, and experiment my thoughts a little bit more. That changed everything. So that is what AI is today and what organizations have to look at. People often ask me how to build a successful AI product. Now, that's a very, very long question because AI doesn't create value. People do, businesses do, and customers do. A simple change, the speed, what it is giving us, will help us keep the mundane tasks away and focus on building relationships and building businesses which will grow into the future. Over the last few years, I've been working with founders, CTOs, and product managers across healthcare and PropTech and B2B and B2B SaaS. One pattern keep repeating itself. Companies were adding features without understanding if that is creating a value to the end user. That is the biggest difference what I have noticed, right? AI is not about features. It is the whole aspect of creating value. Now, what is value? It goes into a very different conversation, but in simple terms, value is what I experience when I use the product. As simple as that. For example, today, Sushma and I are talking, and I'm talking to you all through an online medium called online meeting, Zoom, Google Meet, Microsoft, whatever. So what is the value of a Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Teams? It is not a video conferencing value it is giving me. It is The value is it is bringing Sushma and me closer. It is allowing us to see each other and converse with each other and share our ideas together. That is the value, right? I might be in a different part of the world, Sushma is in a different part of the world, but the product created the value by bringing us together. So we don't mind paying that $10 for the, instead of spending thousands of dollars traveling to see each other, spending half an hour for a coffee or a lunch or a meeting or something like that. That is the value, what I am referring to. Now, when you look at businesses, I think businesses should stop looking at features. Company A is doing, I'll give you classic examples, right? Look at CRM companies. I mean, we can talk about Zoho's, Odoo's, or any other companies you talk about. One builds a feature, one builds a chat agent. One builds another feature, another builds another chat agent. Who do you think will win in the long run? The person who's creating the value out of investing in enhancing the workflows and giving that value to the end customer, they are going to win, right? If you look at chat agents today, you need to work with them. But again, you get frustrated after some time. I don't know what your experience is with ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. I can do a separate session and giving you all the problems you can face by using these tools, right? And I strongly believe that's because of the way we operate, and we have still not understood how the AI models operate. If we have not understood, our end users and our end customers might not even fathom the idea how to use it. So that creates a bottleneck for the value what you create. So the values should be simplified to the core. That's when the value is created. And to simplify that value, we are using a medium called AI. So if you are thinking, Hari, I'm going to build an AI company, I'm extremely sorry, you're not heading anywhere. You like it, you don't like it, that is the truth. You need to understand what is my product and what is the value it creates to my end user. Simple. If you can answer that, then your product will become much more better. From my theory or my framework standpoint, Liquid Ocean, I look at 5 questions. What should be preserved? What should be evolved? What should disappear? What new capabilities must emerge? And what new value customers will pay for? These are the 5 values what I look at from the framework standpoint. But I don't care what LLM you're using. And I recently heard, not recently heard, I think this week itself, I was looking at a news article, an Apple presentation by somebody where they're talking about the MacBook Pro, which is going to come out end of the year 2027, can run a model of up to 1.5 TB on your laptop. Then what is happening to the costs of AI, right? So you're running it. Yeah, there are a lot of questions unanswered. How do you cool it and things like that? It's not a part of discussion, but I'm saying, look at how fast things are transforming, right? And once they transform and you have the ability to control it on your laptop itself, the pricing crashes. So if you are spending so much money today subscribing to APIs or LLMs and implementing them using GPUs and everything, yes, naturally, big products need bigger spaces. But I'm saying for a one single entrepreneur company to, I mean, tomorrow's future, I strongly believe in the 9 billion people, at least 1.5 to 2 billion people will be independent consultants in any capacity. You can be an UX designer, you can be a copywriter, you can be anything for the matter of fact. And for those people, it might not matter, but if for others, it might matter. And if you're investing so heavily in these aspects, we are not looking at tomorrow. And I mean, this is my favorite saying every time. The world existed millions of years ago, and it will exist millions of years after we are gone. So we're looking at a very short span and jumping so fast. But people or companies which are going to survive are the people who are reinventing themselves and the companies which are reinventing themselves. And that's where you use AI, how to reinvent yourself. Use it as your assistant or use it as your backend to reinvent and create the value to the customer rather than thinking, how am I going to give more features and how am I going to make money out of it? 9 out of 10 startups or companies who are investing in AI today, I can guarantee and write it to you and give, they are not able to justify the economic viability of AI implementation. That's the reason I feel, I think Mr. Sridhar Vembu mentioned this in one interview with on Times Now with Arnav. People, companies are investing in hardware infrastructure for the AI models to run, and they don't have money, and and the justification is firing people, right? But nobody is talking. I mean, this is online, so you can go and search what Mr. Wembu said to Arnab Goswami, right? And I concur with him. He's right, right? We like it, we don't like it. That is the truth. But whatever we see in the media or the news is very, very different and says, okay, people are losing jobs because of AI. No, that's not the truth, because companies are looking at spending money on that, trying to incorporate. If you look at the major companies, please don't look at tech companies, right? Tech companies is a very different ballgame. Businesses are very different, right? And the world runs on businesses, not on tech companies. So let's be very honest about it. And if you look at traditional businesses, they are very, very cautious. I work with multiple multinational clients, and they're very, very reluctant to use any AI because, Hari, that's not our budget at all. What we generate and what we need to plan for our expenses, that's not a budget at all. We are not touching AI. Please do this accordingly, and we will keep going forward. When it becomes economical, we'll think about it. That is the hard reality of truth. So if you're selling it to tech people and iPhone users or Android users, but the consumption will be very less. So keep that in mind. Now, the other aspect, what people also talk to me is, Hari, should we use AI agents? Should we build AI agents? This is one question which comes. But I tell them, don't build anything in haste. Technology keeps evolving. So focus on the business. And if you feel the business requires it, and if you can justify the agent surviving the next 24 to 36 months, then probably give it a thought. Otherwise, pass it on, focus on what needs to be done. So these many aspects when we talk about organizations are also using AI. I know there's one company born out of Germany. They're working on automating the boardroom discussions into AI models, right? They're struggling to get customers because it listens to the entire boardroom conversations, and then it looks at its model and comes up and throws up ideas. So many organizations are not taking AI to their boardrooms. And also remember one thing: there are many online meetings I attend where they mention very clearly at the beginning of the meeting that any form of recording is illegal, and if you found that you have recorded anything, you're subject to a legal action, right? So forget about AI. People don't even want to record their meeting, right? So in summary, what I'm trying to say is we need to understand AI is not everywhere. I mean, people are very cautious. It's going slowly. And when organizations or people are buying products, they are trusting you and your business more rather than anything else in the technology you provide. So bear that in mind in terms of where it goes. And the next aspect I want to touch upon is where do we see things going in the next 3 to 5 years, right? Let me tell you, 3 to 5 years is a very small time. Okay, very, very small time. Okay. But because the technology is changing very fast and things are evolving, it doesn't mean that things will change in 3 to 5 years. Yes, definitely there will be an enhancement. Okay, ChatGPT came in 2021, 22. How much has changed in almost 4 or 5 years? As a techie, you might think the world has changed, but as a person who works with traditional businesses, and I also work with tech companies, but traditional businesses, nothing has changed. Let's be very honest about it. They're being very cautious to understand how things will happen, what technology they should incorporate. Recently, I was talking to a company in Gujarat. They're a manufacturing company, and they call me for their tech strategy kind of an approach. And after I studied the entire process, I told them, look, at this point of time, I don't think you need AI. All you need is processes which are more dependable through technology. That's what you need to focus on. You for your line of business, AI is not required for them at all, right? And so, like the CEO was saying, Hari, you're the first person who's saying that we don't need AI. Everybody was trying to sell us AI, and I said, no, I'm being very practical because I studied your entire processes. So I studied it for about a week. I made my report, and I said, see, this is what you're doing today. And these are the areas where tech is not even there. So probably it can help you strengthen your manufacturing process and your dispatch process. And over a period of time, products get better or you want to enhance, then you think about AI. Right now, no, strengthen your existing processes with technology rather than thinking about AI. So this is one thing which I keep telling people, right? Don't jump on the bandwagon. Be in the shoes of the consumer and understand if they really require what kind of feature they require. For example, my brother uses an Android phone. The only thing he uses is a phone call to pick up and WhatsApp to talk to his daughter who lives overseas. That's about it. He doesn't do anything on the phone. And once in a while, he scrolls on YouTube. He doesn't even have Instagram installed. Right. So if you're trying to build products, understand that not every tech user might need all these things. The second part, the first, I mean, sorry, the points what you're talking, the first one is we'll move away from software to operate people. So focus on people more than software, bring the trust, create the value to the consumer. They will stick to you. I mean, I have one favorite example here. I don't know if I'm taking more time, but one quick example. I don't know how many of you heard about the company called Patagonia, right? They manufacture outdoor clothing like Colombia, right? They're not in India, so let's not bang our heads on that. In 2011-12, they gave an ad in New York Times newspaper, full page ad, don't buy our jacket. I actually did a video on this, but don't buy our jacket. So what they have been doing is they manufacture high-end outdoor gear. I mean, for your rock climbing or adventure sports kind of stuff, the jackets start about $170 or something like that. So what they meant by doing it is they wanted people not to throw away the used gear because there is a lot of material which they use which is not easily recyclable. So they changed the vision. They bought in a system in such a way that people, if your jacket or your trouser or your shoe is worn out, bring it to us to get it repaired. Or if you still want to buy a new one, trade it for a new one so that they will use it they refurbish and sell it to somebody who wants it at a lower price. Their profits tripled in the last 10 years, right? So these are the companies who are looking at how to use technology, how to use products which can enhance the services more. So focus on people and business will come back to you. And that's one thing I clearly see missing in tech products. We always look at features. I want to give a better app. I want to give a better website, but we're not looking at why should the consumer come to me, right? And if the consumer comes to you, do you have the right hooks to keep them with you for lifetime? That is the value you create. It's not that one user using it. I use so many subscriptions. I use for 1 month, I stop it off because I want it for that month, and again I'll renew it after 3 months or something like that. I'm not a good consumer for them. They're not hooking me so that I be with them, right? The second aspect what we need to understand, products are adaptive, right? Instead of selling fixed software, products will become more adaptive. They'll become more personalized with AI. And that's what happens. So if you're incorporating AI in the backend for your product, it's learning about the consumer's usage patterns. And in the next 3 to 5 years, these products become and talk to the consumer directly. They become very personalized. So the app I'm going to see in my phone behaves very differently from the same app you're seeing on your phone, right? This is one thing which will change. I don't still want to call it AGI, but for my reservations perspective, I'm not against the technology or the terminology or anything, but I feel AGI is a lot more. So coming back, it will become more personalized to you rather than, so Facebook will behave very differently on your phone and my phone, because the way I look at feeds is very different from the way you look at feeds. They're reading those aspects. And recently also we had a startup in India where it had a very big backlash. I don't remember the name, where the house helps were wearing cameras and recording what they're doing. So they want to give it to robotics and things like that. Trust me, these are things which are just excited happening. I mean, it'll take a lot more time than people anticipate for these kind of things to come. The next aspect in what I see in the next 3 to 5 years is the competition is going to change. Today's companies, we are all competing with features or products, but tomorrow they will compete with the speed at which they adapt to your usage of products. That's going to happen. And speed happens because you're using AI at the back end, right? And the value you are creating. That's the big difference. The fourth one is the trust becomes the differentiating factor. You believe it or not, it is the trust which plays. Why do we subscribe to Microsoft? Why do we subscribe to Google, right? I might have my own reservation. I mean, I talk to a lot of people, and many people are like, oh, Microsoft is grandfather's organization. They are a grandfather's organization, but you also need to understand every company registered in the world, 90% of them use Microsoft. And if your company's turnover is going to touch $1 billion, trust me, you're going to move over from Google to Microsoft. There are certain reasons why they are that way. Okay, so your trust factor becomes very important. On Google, I know I search for something, or my Alexa is on my phone or at home. I know it is listening to my conversations. How many of us take time to go to the settings and switch it off, right? I mean, most of the phones are switched on by default by location, as Sundar Pichai himself said, right? Even Apple switches it on automatically, but and you have a lot of videos. It's a do these 10 things first before using your phone. So how to switch it off? There are, and they'll make it complicated. It's just not that you go to setting location off. No, it doesn't work like that. They'll put 4 steps for you to get confused. And I mean, if we are a little tech oriented, if I give it to my brother, he will say, I don't know, leave it like that. Right. So that population is much more higher, right? So that your product becomes a differentiator, and trust becomes the most important. If I trust you, I will share my data with you. I mean, Ola and Uber also, right? Only when I'm booking, I go to settings, open location services, switch on, because I want the guy to come, because I know the tech behind what goes. The guy has to come to my house. Otherwise, I keep it switched on. Otherwise, they're reading where you're going, how you're traveling, and all that stuff, and it becomes complicated. And as I mentioned, I mean, look at any product which runs on trust, right? Rolex, Legos, Patagonia's, any big brand you take, it goes Columbia. Anything goes with the trust. And finally, the most important aspect, which will be impacted in the next 3 to 5 years, is the leadership mindset, leadership reinvention. I'm not marketing myself, but I'm also sharing what I do. Otherwise, I do leadership in interventions or reinventions for large organizations. And I was one of them, right? I spent 14 years at Cerner. So we are comfortable in the position we are in until unless we kick ourselves out of the comfort zone, or the company kicks us out, right? I was with Cerner for 14 years. And when they asked me to move out of India, that's when I decided, no, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I quit and came out of my complete comfort zone. But many of my colleagues continued. And after some time, they came out and they struggled to find a role which suits them. And few people reinvented within the organization and went on to become senior leaders in the organization. So when I talk about leadership changes, the way leaders see their organizations today will change in the next 3 to 5 years. It'll be a complete reinvention, right? And AI becomes their partner, right, in reinvention. If you get comfortable, you say, Ari, this is the culture, I'm good, I'm here 20 years, I know another 15, 20 years, I'm here, this is my career progression, I get 2% increment, I'm happy, I'll retire, that's about it. But the reality, I'm very sorry, that's not going to happen, right? If the companies can decide to reinvent themselves in one day, and when that happens, the entire thing will come down, right? That these are the principles I brought together in my framework called the liquid ocean, and that's the aspect what any organization had to look at in the next 3 to 5 years. These are the areas where you need to focus on if you want to survive. So trust, use AI as your assistant or your companion. Don't sell AI without understanding the value it is going to create, right? So the if you are a tech product and you want to scale internationally, there is also something which is different, which will happen. It is already happening. It will happen. If you notice, many apps are centric to the regions, right? If you go to app, if you're an app developer, you put on app stores on either Google or iOS. They have localized apps, right? You can't download few apps from the US here and Australia or Singapore, whatever. They're predominantly regional specific. You can build your product and scale globally. What remains the same is the value of your product, what problem it's solving, but it becomes more localized in terms of how it interacts with the consumer, right? If you're building global products, don't think I'll build a workflow here and it'll sell everywhere in the world. And don't think that a workflow built for America will sell everywhere, or in Europe it'll sell everywhere. No, people are different. We are forgetting these are the most important aspects of scaling businesses. People think differently, people approach differently, right? I mean, this is my classic example, right? If you look at the investors from the West and the APAC, it's very big difference, right? Why? Investors in APAC, India, Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia, all these investors come from a thought process of I'm putting in so much. How long will you take to give a break even? When will I make my profit? When will I exit? Right? But the Western investors think very differently. If there is value, they keep pumping in. And we know many examples I can give you in India itself, which failed and didn't take off after raising $1 million, millions of dollars, and things like that. So look at the trend which will change, or you have to focus is this. Your core problem solving can be same, the technology can be same, but it will become more localized. And last, before I close, don't treat AI as your infrastructure. That is the biggest mistake everybody is doing. AI is not the reason why people are thinking it's infrastructure is because of the cost involved. I need to have the GPUs, I need to have the servers, I need to have, buy credits to run and all that stuff. So that is the reason people think it's infrastructure. Please do not put that in infrastructure column, but put it in your strategy column. AI is a strategy. It's not infrastructure. So as every strategy requires the right kind of investment, AI also requires the right kind of investment. So the moment you start looking at AI from the lens of strategy, your investment approach completely changes, which will support your business rather than burn your business. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. And one last metric, if I can share before I go, as an organization, as a product, or including as you, One metric you have to look at is your reinvention velocity. That's the very most important metric. And that's not how fast you ship, not how much you spend time coding or building or learning as an individual and things like that, but how quickly can we embrace that learning and reinvent ourselves in the approach, right? That is one metric I would leave today's conversation with. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Hari, for that insightful and thoughtful provoking speak like what you have done in the AI. So your
Anytime.
perspective on product strategy and the business reinvention, and your message that AI should not be treated as an isolated technology initiative, but embedded into your business strategy,
Strategy,
solve
correct.
real customer problems and drive meaningful outcomes, right?
Correct.
So yeah, it has truly been inspiring. So your practical insight has provided tremendous value to our global AIpreneurs community.
Glad I could be of any help. But yeah, thank you for having me, Sushma. If you don't have any questions, if you have any questions, please let me know, and
Yeah,
I
I
will.
just have a few questions about like
Please.
how about you have speak it. So throughout your career, you have helped organizations reinvest product, technology strategies, and business models at critical points of transformation. So as AI reshapes every industry, what fundamental mindset shifts must business leaders make to ensure they build AI products that solve meaningful customer problems rather than simply adopting AI for its own sake?
I touched upon this point.
Yes,
So
yes.
every business leader should look at it from a strategy standpoint, and what is the value I'm creating to the end customer using AI, right? Again, coming back to Lego example or Rolex example, right? Lego, their internal processes enhanced. So what happened is they started doing more variations of products. So Star Wars, that's how I came in. It's not because of AI, because they were reinventing themselves, right? Star Wars came because of that. And all of us know how Lego Star Wars became a classic hit across the world, right? So that's the kind of an approach any entrepreneur or organization, product manager should look at. What is the value I'm creating? And the value need not be monetary. The unfortunate thing is when we build tech products, we are thinking the monetary benefit is the only thing which matters. Unfortunately, that is not the case. It is the trust which plays the role. When people trust you, even if you increase, why? I mean, let me ask you a simple question. Yesterday, I saw this news. Apple increased all their subscription prices by 15-20%, including in India. So you're going to throw your iPhone out? No, right? You're continuing your subscription because of the trust you have with the ecosystem. So in one way, you can argue, Hari, that's money-making mechanism. So even if you trust, people will keep increasing prices. Yeah, you have always the option to walk away, but you will not walk away. I mean, I will not walk away because there is a lot of investment I made in the ecosystem, right? So make people stick to the ecosystem and then play with. Monetary is not the only outcome of building products.
So I have one more question. As you
Please.
mentioned that AI itself isn't changing people, people are changing. So how can organizations build a culture where people embrace AI as a strategic advantage rather than viewing it as a threat?
I don't want to make this a long answer, but I'll try to condense it as possible. I'm doing one leadership reinvention, and this is the same pain point what they're going through. Uh, win the trust of the employee that the better we embrace AI, the better are the prospects for the company, and the better are the prospects with you. Unfortunately, what happens is people spend just 8 hours at work, but when they come out, they look at news, they hear news, they read newspaper, they talk to friends, family, and oh, AI job is going, be careful, search for a new job and jump, right? See, people, we need to understand that the 8 hours or 9 hours we are at work is a very small part of our whole life. So, organizations which can communicate the value of the contributor, which is the employee to the organization, and give them the tools and understanding of how their value can increase by adopting AI, trust me, organizations are going to reinvent themselves, leaders are going to reinvent themselves. So organizations need to give the trust factor to the employee. Look, if you use these tools or adopt AI into your workflow, your output will become much more valuable. So, and then you reinvent and we reinvent, and you're more valuable to the organization.
Yeah, it's a great to hear. So I have one more question. Where you have worked extensively across India and Australia, helping organizations with product strategy and market entry and business transformation. So as AI companies increasingly expand cross-border, on what practical advice would you offer founders looking to localize their products, enter international markets to build sustainable global businesses?
Correct. You need to understand their language. So, for example, even in India, let's say the consumer in Assam is going to behave very differently from a consumer in Kerala, right? A consumer in Delhi is going to behave very differently from a consumer in Bangalore, right? But that doesn't mean we localize it within the country itself, because there's a common thread of our thought process. So, in the similar fashion, when you take products out, that's why few of, I mean, even though there are good CRMs or ERPs available, I see many people not using Asana or Monday.com or these things, because the way we work is very different, the way they work is very different, and the workflows are built that way. That's why many people want to do their own custom ERPs or CRMs, which are more for their purposes. And that's what Zoho excels in, right? I mean, Zoho gives you a complete workflow, and then you can use the local Zoho consultant and tell, hey, adapt it to my business. That's why they're $1 billion company, and remaining people are struggling to get there.
Thank you for sharing that perspective. So it's my final question, where the global AIpreneurs is building a trusted global ecosystem connecting AI founders, enterprises, and investors like researchers and policymakers. Based on your experience helping organizations become enterprise ready and commercially scalable, how can initiative like global AIpreneurs accelerate AI commercialization, product innovation, cross-border market entry, and global startup success? So, and I'd also like to know love to hear how to Studio Navaka
Navaka.
can partner with and contribute to the global AIpreneur ecosystem.
Perfect. So, Sushma, there are three, four things what I look at, right? How global AI, our global AIpreneurs can leverage my expertise and the organization expertise is um, helping founders and startups to move beyond AI features, right? Towards building products which actually customers pay for, right? We have a framework. We do that with the founders, and these are all not long-term engagements or anything. This is short-term engagements. The second thing is making people understand how global businesses operate, how global consumers operate, right? That's the second part of the framework. The third part is, helping, the CXOs, CTOs, CPOs to with governance frameworks for AI, right? How to incorporate, how to leverage AI into their organizations through leadership reinventions. Because adopting AI is just not like, okay, we are subscribing to ChatGPT or Claude and let's start using it. No, that's not what it is. People need to change. People need to adopt, because you are end of the day paying for the license, but people are using it for a different reason, or they don't want to ask a question or look at what can be subscribed to it, right? And I know large organizations, I don't want to name them here. When I say large, they're really large and multinationals where I have friends working and, people working. And they say, Hari, we have corporate subscription, but everything is for the corporate. I said, correct. It should not be from the global part or outside like a Google search. Now, They want people to use AI, and they're cutting their learning budgets. So, I mean, typically, if I remember right, we used to have about $30, $40 learning budget per annum per
Yes.
employee, right? You play around with those numbers from a large organization perspective. Now, organizations are cutting down on the learning budgets for the tool subscription, but people don't know how to use the tool, right? Not everybody knows. I mean, that's fair point. I mean, and everybody need not know too. So if organizations can invest a little bit in helping their employees think two steps ahead in adopting AI and the benefits, and this is what we call leadership and people reinvention, right? If they can do that, then the return on investment for the organization is seen from AI. And this is more, I mean, generic. I mean, if organizations can share their playbooks with their employees, again, it goes back into learning and all this. The whole concept of learning is also changing. People are not learning by seeing videos. I'll give you a failed idea of mine. I would call it still failed because, or I mean, two ways I might not fail also. I do online sessions every quarter, right? And I could not communicate. This is going to be a personal one-on-one workshop. People love going to Udemy or something like that. Recorded session, pay for it, listen to it at their free time and do it. But when set a time, it becomes very difficult. So what I'm saying is people's learning patterns are changing. So organizations also need to understand. Doing a classroom session, I mean, recently I had a request for like, well, please teach AI to our team and one-day workshop, right? I mean, I can't teach AI in one day, right? So if organizations can look at how they can help employees adapt to the technology, I think they'll see a value much better.
I think that gives our audience a great deal to reflect on. So, what an insightful and inspiring conversation.
Thank you, Sushma.
Yeah, to our visionary speaker, Hari, thank you for sharing your remarkable experience and
Anytime.
practical insights with the global AIpreneurs community. Your
Anytime.
perspectives remind us that successful AI businesses are built not only through technological innovation, but through strong product strategy, customer understanding, and continue reinvention and discipline execution. So, to everyone joining us from around the world, thank you for being part of today's session. The further of artificial intelligence will be shaped not only by technological breakthroughs, but also by international collaboration and responsible governance and shared reinvention. If you are an AI founder, innovator, or investor, or enterprise leader looking to become part of this growing global ecosystem, we invite you to join us, Global AIpreneurs. Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep innovating, keep collaborating, and together let's build a trust global AI future. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Sushma.
Yeah, thank you, Hari. It's a great